Hello, and welcome back. Northstar here with another God, I don't remember it being this freaking loud. Why is it? Hold on. Um, Apologize. I was waiting. I was trying to see if there was an options thing that changed the. It's too loud. The audio setting. Could be my sound software's different settings than the past. Could be. If this game had a setting. Yeah, no, I have everything low level. This is just too loud of a game. At times. So, anyways, welcome back to my Citizen Sleeper Let's Play. This is Northstar. Um, it's been a bit since I last did anything with this, so I'll have to take a sec to get my bearings here. Scope the Cordon Flotilla aid. Right. Um, Briefly turn off this music. It's too much. So, I figure things out. This is Northstar, as I was saying. Apologize, it's been a while since the last video. Life's been hard. Things right now. I am dealing with trying to file paperwork with the Social Security Administration because even though they're going to screw me of Social Security disability insurance because one of my employers, a critical employer, did not pay into my Social Security even though they were really obligated to. I tell like the Social Security, like, oh, it's the IRS job to deal with this IRS. Oh, it's Social Securities. They're just fucking around and not helping me. And using that as an excuse to cheat me out of disability benefits. Because between that and some employees who actually were exempt had a legal excuse that they could exempt employees that they still don't tell me they weren't paying in. Not enough work credits. And of course, being in grad school and stuff wasn't getting me work credits. So I got screwed. they're screwing me. And then I have to do paperwork because even if they're going to screw me out of that and say I have too many assets for SSI, I need them to rule me disabled for some programs, including forgiveness of my student loans, full and complete permanent disability loan forgiveness if you've been disabled more than 5 years, especially now where they're getting rid of the income-based repayment plans I was in. I can't make the payments when I'm disabled, unable to work. Excuse me. Um, some GI issues here. Sorry. So, I need that loan forgiveness, but of course the paperwork is excessive for the disability determination stuff, and the government is not your friend. These people are pricks, and their job is to screw you, basically. Cordon Intel. Right. I should make the run the flotilla. The better prepared, the better result will be. Our plan. The stuff for the hold. Right. That may seem a little weird to say. Let's see what was going on here. Harvest algae, accelerate growth. Food for the flotilla. Patience, if I don't want to accelerate the algae growth, which takes work, which it could be doing other things. Let the, I guess, their mating algae grow a bit. God, I don't remember how much goes in each cycle and stuff. What am I doing with the water? Half the water, food, water, and scrap. I think I already provided the scrap, right? Yeah. There's our base camp, so I can just sleep there. All right, I'll get the music going back on. It may seem weird for someone who I think I've mentioned as a socialist. The government is not your friend, but well, first of all, socialism is not when government does stuff that might be considered social democracy. Socialism is worker controlled means of production, but it may seem weird for me to say. The government is not your friend, but the government represents the interests of those who hold the power in society. In a society like the United States, that is the capitalist, that is like the billionaires. The government in a society controlled by billionaires only works for the interests of the billionaires, and so they fuck over disabled people so that the government won't have to provide any like financial help with them for them, other types of help to save money for the rich, so they can do tax cuts for the rich or kick them uh, money into military spending to help expand the U.S. empire and exploit countries that the rich people's the corporations they own will go in and exploit, sweatshop labor, all that. All right. Let's see. Was that low on stabilizer? Nope. There's grove spores. Roll caps. Club heads. Got one club head. Could harvest mushrooms here in the aviary. All right. Water doesn't do anything automatically. Food does grow, so let's get some food for the flotilla. I hope I wasn't forgetting something else. Yeah, how am I doing for skill points? Spent them all. Maybe I should have done a different arrangement of points, but whatever. Engineer, dangerous to siphon water. I think a 3 will be alright. You tap on the pipe space you do see a flashing warning light of a sensor. You hope no one notices. Esh grimaces. Put 5 in as well. You find out valve behind a web of sensors. Stealthily, you begin filling the tank. Esh gives you a thumbs up. This is working. Roll. 5. This is 6. Cool. Oh, it seems a little wasteful using this such a high roll on this. Done. Continue. Tucked into a service quarter, deep below the reservoir, Esh is double checking the seals on the water tanks, loaded onto the motorized trolley. Though you are far enough away from any thoroughfares not to worry about being overheard, you both still speak in hushed tones. All good? Esh nods silently and hits the ignition on the trolley to start it moving. You take up the other side of the trolley. I didn't want to ask about the briar because someone's somehow listening. Anyways, you take up the other side of the trolley and walk it up the wide service quarter with its flickering lights and Solheim detritus. Solheim was, evil corporation that used to rule things. There are some whiny right-wingers who say, oh, this game is so anti-capitalist, it's unfair. No, capitalism sucks. Get used to it. Solheim was an evil corporation, the worst of what capitalism has to offer. Right? Solheim, that was the used to be before, who's in charge of station now? Was Havnaj, right? Havnaj? Yep. You doubt it gets used by Avnaj. At least that's the hope. You glance across at Esh, her face a massive determination as she guides the trolley along. Maybe some conversation will make this journey go a little easier. How'd you meet Peak? Esh pauses, a little surprised by her question. She glances back down the tunnel, but in this deserted passage, she can hardly keep up the pretense of silence. We grew up together, she answers quickly, and turns back to the trolley, but she can tell you're expecting her to add more. She seems to gather herself for an answer, not wanting to ignore you, but trying instead to get her answer straight in her head. Our outpost, Hawthorne, is not an easy place to grow up. The ministers keep a tight hold of everything. Corporate control of the outpost. She rolls her eyes, even though they are trapped in the same decaying installation as everyone else. Peak, she pauses. Peak found it harder than most. She pauses again, judging her words. I stepped in to help them out. Them. Peak, I guess. Them is usually a plural. Anyways, because even with gender pronouns, if it wouldn't be them, it'd be she, Z-A-G, right? Or I don't get. Them is a plural. It should never be used to describe one individual, no matter if they're male, female, gender, or the third gender set of pronouns. Anyways, silence descends again, but you can feel the wheels turning in Ish's mind as the creaking wheels of the trolley take you along the corridor. Peak isn't the most practical of people. They used to be, well, they needed someone to teach them to look after themselves, stand up for themselves. Can relate to not necessarily always stand up for yourself. That was me. She smiles. After that, I couldn't get rid of them. I've always been on the kind and too much willing to let people, well, not willing to let people bully me, but fear of the consequences of standing up for myself. It comes from partly an abusive father growing up, but if you stand up for yourself, sometimes you can get severe consequences from people with abusive hold of power. And then you get into your head that bad things are happening if you dare stand up to. And I mean, now I'm kind of in that situation with the government. These people are, some of them, really trying hard to screw people over in my situation and, stand up to them. As she stops talking, but you see her eyes have lit up, and you imagine she is recalling some moment or other from her past. And you imagine she is recalling some moment or other from her and Peak's past. You both reach a wide bulkhead door, and have to stop to shimmy the trolley over the edge. When you are done, Ish turns to you. I'm good from here. Head back. And with that, she is gone, moving off into the dark tunnel ahead. You watch her go, and then turn around and walk the distance back to the staircase you entered from, the tunnel humming around you as you do. As you walk, you try to piece together Ish's past, but all you have are glimpses of the person she once was. She seems to prefer it that way. It's too bad you couldn't barter for food for, the people, the refugees. I believe this algae will keep growing if I don't do anything to let me focus my efforts instead on the plan. Let's see, climbing briar leaves in 8 more cycles, so I got some time. Cordon. Intercepting comms. Let's try it. The Cordon buzzes with radio transmission data packets. Intercepting them will help give you a sense of how things run here. It's a little risky, to say the least. You gather snippets of data that point to a rift in the teams working on the Cordon. The refugees have growing support within Hafnaj. Yeah. Nobody could see what's happening to them and not empathize. And some of the people who put doing the right thing first, who let their morals guide them, would be working on their peers, hopefully. Just as hopefully in our own society, people are working on their peers right now about resisting. Let's end the cycle here. Resisting those with the power who are trying to turn the U.S. fascist, who have long been oppressing people like me, the disabled. That's not new, but are stepping it up in various ways, with messing with Social Security and the IRS, which those might not sound like they go together, but if, for instance, you need to deal with an employer didn't pay their payroll taxes or didn't pay taxes at all illegally at one point, didn't report. And in the case of this employer, they actually gave me like paychecks. I remember they actually showed tax withholding, so they were fabricating data of paying to taxes. They were literally committing fraud. And it's not like I can be expected to figure out it's a fraud. It's not my job. It's the government's job to monitor for, this kind of nonsense. That or the IRS got the forms, they actually submitted them, and then just somehow deleted or lost the forms. There's something weird going on. But yeah, now I remember dealing with a different employer who didn't pay taxes before. I didn't realize there were two that have done that to me at the time, because they were different tax years. The earlier one, the one I'm dealing with now, that's more relevant to the stay at work credits, was the year I didn't have to file taxes. My income was so low. Whereas the other year I did. So the one where I did file taxes, I'd worked multiple jobs, 2 jobs at a time, rotating second job. So I caught that one much earlier. I remember it was a fight then to get the IRS to look in the employer, and now it's so much harder. There's been changes to the IRS. They are even less willing to enforce the law against employers, and of course probably screw over ordinary people instead, because they work for the rich. Let's see. This is only risky. So, yeah, comms interception. You got snippets of data that point to rift in the teams working the Cordon. Refugees have growing support within Hafnaj. I probably shouldn't do something that could have cost 2 energy on a bad roll. I only have 1. Yeah. Okay, so tomorrow there'll be more algae to harvest. Speaking of energy, let's go get a snack meal for my character. He eats every few cycles. Maybe it's because he's a robot. Maybe he's half starving himself. I hope not. Doesn't cost any actions to deal with those ship things. Memphis. Here we go. This spiced fungus is one of the few things potent enough to stimulate your limited taste receptors. It's incredible stuff. Your mouth stings as your sensorium Sends warning signals over and over. This is the good stuff. Yep. Alright. The algae stacks here. Could accelerate the growth, but I could only at most... Can I harvest it? Oh, yeah, I can harvest it right now. Interesting. Harvest algae or corn stuff. Engage interface. Engage can get you energy interface credits, but I don't know which is good. I'll just harvest some algae. I don't remember how this affects stuff. You work carefully and attentively and manage to maximize the yield of the stack with little or no wastage. Roll the ones and a 4. Worst case. I only need one more. This will work. Draining and drying and packing algae is delicate and tiring work, but you managed to get good yield. Done. You're leaning against the metal crates you just loaded up with algae. Packed and dried into bright green pucks. Ash hops onto one beside you, flexing her aching back. Is this enough? Ash squints at you, as if you just interrupted a train of thought. It's a look you have become familiar with. It doesn't matter either way. This is what we've got. She sighs, rubbing the back of her neck. In these past cycles, worked an algae stack with Ash. You've had little insight into her mind. She rarely seems happy to start a conversation, but is always eager to end one. Despite this, you feel like something has grown between you. Something like silent trust. The kind that tends to seed itself in the fertile soil of hard but necessary work. Something I've been meaning to ask. Ash raises her head cautiously. Go on. Why escape XBR? Ash pauses, her protective instinct fighting with the trust you built. You can see her begin to shrug the question off, then she stops, rethinks, sighs. What you need to understand, Sleeper, is that Erlin's Eye wasn't the only place where the Solheim collapse happened. Sure, Hawthorne, where we grew up, was an XBR installation. But that didn't screen it from Solheim going under. Yeah, because when capitalist corporations collapse, a lot of ordinary people are the ones who suffer, not, the people at the top. Actually, well, of course that's kind of true of any collapsing system. You could go up in the Soviet Union, but that was due to neoliberal shock therapy and introducing capitalism aggressively, forcefully. Anyways, actually, Solheim is the only reason XBR were ever here. It's the only reason XBR were ever here. She pauses, hesitant to get into the whole story, but wanting to offer something. She flinches, correcting herself. They are a service corps, you understand? They set up outposts and surrogate systems like this to offer refueling, logistics, and maintenance services to bigger companies with extraction contracts. She gestures the eye around her. Like Solheim. When Solheim went bust, XBR lost their client. And Hawthorne? Well, we lost everything. We became an outpost tasked with just holding on. Keep the refueling platforms running, they said. Keep the outpost stable. Hold on to our claim. She rubs at her head, as if recalling all this was somehow physically painful. Do you know what it is like to spend your entire life in a place with no future? A place that exists only to hold a legal claim to a piece of territory, to short breach of contract negotiations between two corporations. It's like living in a, she searches for the word, her eyes jumping back and forth. In a grave. She clenches her hands. So if you're looking for the answer to why questions, that's your answer. We, Peek and I, know what it's like to be forgotten, to be locked out. She stares hard at the side of the stack, the algae whirling against the glass in beautiful patterns, and she doesn't look away. Sorry. The energy is kind of fading here with my long COVID. It's tough. Give me a sec. Pause this. All right, a little better. Lay down for a sec. Just the action of going to lie down and back. It's also kind of very light stretching, moving my legs. Sorry, long COVID, my energy fades, and I had to deal with some stressful bureaucracy stuff. One of the questions why I went into security function packet is, how well do you get along with authority figures? Police act. That is a vile thing that for them to put in there. It's put in to imply it's a form of symbolic violence, to imply that if someone is sick, injured, disabled, that it must be really they're not sick, injured, disabled. It's that they don't get along with authority figures well. And part of this is they'll try and force disabled people to work, and then if they can't because of their disability, then they'll say, "Oh, it's real, you can get along." You should look up symbolic violence. This is part of creating something so people internalize and blame themselves, and also not find fault with the system. There's nothing wrong with people who have an issue with authority. Very often, it's authority itself that is flawed because we want a system where those with authority are using authority to hurt people because the system is hurting people, and so only those who will go along with that are given authority. It's not people are the problem. That pisses me off. I had some anarchist leanings from a fairly young age before I became a socialist because I've seen how again and again those with power abuse and misuse it, and the system itself is only existing to hurt people. It was more intelligent than most, more perceptive than most, so I was able to spot this when others ignored it, didn't see it. Anyways, and I saw some of the worst of humanity from people with power too. So if you're looking for the answer to why questions, that's your answer. We, Peek and I, know what it's like to be forgotten, to be locked out. She stares hard at the side of the... I already read that. Sorry. The silence extends, and you realize the conversation is over. Ash seems angry, not at you, but with herself, for even voicing such ideas. Why would she be... This is what I was talking about. Symbolic violence. She is internalizing the violence. Symbolic violence is violence through the mechanism of symbols and ideas, and it works. One of the key steps in it is what's known as internalization, which comes with taking a system that is oppressive, unjust, very often, that steps on those at the bottom of a hierarchy, because symbolic violence is inherently wrapped up with hierarchy, and then internalizing blame, guilt, doubt, getting angry at yourself for voicing ideas. There's nothing wrong with what she said. Nothing. She shouldn't be mad at herself for that. After a while, you stand and start to load the crates onto the powered trolley. The Esh will run back to the briar. As you do, you try to catch her eye, but she avoids it, soothing herself instead with the comforting simplicity of physical work. She's had a difficult past, to say the least. Gotta feel sorry for her. Alright, now it's just scoping out. I also wanted to take a quick look over here. I didn't remember if there was something I left behind. Let's see. Just the repair bay work, contract work. Show capsules. Actually, I do have. This is a way to get a little scrap if I wanted. What's the credits? Yeah. I'll go harvest some scrap if I want scrap. Freight hub. And import export. There is an achievement for stealing 3 freight shipments to see what's inside. Maybe I should do it just to see if there's anything useful for the refugees. Yeah, not something I do in real life, but I like to get all the Steam achievements. And besides, this is a desperate situation with these people. A lot of them are going to die. Alright, what's done here? 4 should... Yeah. So many shipments. What's one diverted package? We have no idea what you're stealing, but that's for the fun, right? Alright. It's not like this is even a good way of getting cryo. Random items. You spot an opening and divert a package. Inline will know it's gone. We'll have no idea where. Now to find out what's inside. Is that Matsutake? What did I get? Yeah, whatever. Nothing that's even vaguely useful for the refugees. I didn't think there would be, but Steam achievement, as I said. Maybe there's some Easter egg if you do all 3. I'll have to do more Cordon intel the next cycle. Inject stabilizer or to scrap. It's an old way to get more stabilizer is those club heads. Oh shoot, I could have harvested some of those. That might have been a good idea. Yeah, I'll just do a little self repair for now. Working your own body is unsettling but necessary act. You can feel new components under your skin. And end the cycle. I shouldn't put off. Yeah, I gotta harvest those club heads. Or, well, they're not all meat club heads, but harvest mushrooms. Rivals will give higher rate of. Carefully pick out the best developed caps in the mulch, especially fascinated by the aroma of the club-like bodies you discover. I already had a club head, though. I don't think it actually gave me any. This time I got one. Alright. Could do that, but I don't actually have enough to replant. Click spores. That's a +1 activity. Get lucky. Nope. That's even worse rolls. We need one more, though. The mushrooms lead you deep into the rim, beyond sunlight where moist dells glitter with strange growths. You barely make it back out. Oh, that sucks. Didn't get anything. Not gonna be able to replant after a day, so I might as well delay. Back to grab some of Memphis fried fungus. Lovely. So, folks, if you're watching this, I don't know when you're watching this. YouTube has a tendency to not show people things until it's been a while, unless you're doing the recently new publication, whatever thing. So, you find a chamber thick with pale particles. Gather as many as you can. Unsure what species or types might be in the mix. Cool. So I can replant, but it's enough time. We're self-repair and end another cycle. But yeah, if you're watching this, viewers, I don't know when. Things are obviously, I can only imagine worse by the time you see this, going to hell in the United States. If you live in the US, resist. You may have assholes in power try and blame people for having an issue with authority when they resist unjust systems, unjust authority, unjust laws, etc. Use every legal means at your disposal. Resist what's increasingly becoming a system that's lying towards fascism, because there's a lot of people being hurt by it. It's not just me. There's countless. Hey, just in terms of long COVID, there's 4.5 million Americans with long COVID, at least moderate to severe. Its numbers grown versus older estimates because more people are getting long COVID. The coronavirus is still around, and even vaccinated people still get long COVID after infections. It still happens at about half the relative rate, but it still happens. And it still gets higher risk with each infection. So this is a problem that's not even nearly as bad as it's going to get. But there's countless other people suffering, LGBTQ people. There's people who are living in poverty, the elderly. So I was thinking about, resistance to perks at the top who want nothing more. Those with power want nothing more than for you and me and everyone else to just sit down, shut up, and not do anything to oppose them building an authoritarian system that undermines democracy more and more. What was left of democracy in the United States, because the U.S. was not really democracy, but a plutocratic oligarchy already. But now things are dropping the pretense of being democratic. Got the fungal beds growing in. Now you have things sliding towards authoritarianism or fascism very openly. And it's only going to get worse for a lot of people. People don't stand up and resist now while they still can, before it becomes illegal to even do anything at all. Before protest is outlawed. And then you can't even talk about it on YouTube, because then you'd be advocating breaking the law if you said protest once protest has been made illegal. Because these systems do not challenge authority. You won't see YouTube say, we're not going to enforce that rule. No, they will enforce that. because they just go along with those in power. They are themselves. People own YouTube, are Alphabet Corporation, Google. It's owned by the Alphabet Corporation. They're only interested in their own profits. Never trust a capitalist corporation. They are not the good guys. Anyways. Alright, loot boxes. Got the achievement. I don't think it gave anything useful except my Matsutake caps. Whatever. That gets rid of one node that was pointless. Could sell these Matsutake, but no. I didn't do it for that. I haven't done any data in a while. I doubt I need Yadigan data for anything that's coming, but maybe a Abnaj. Extractable data. Keyword a little. What do I do with my last one here? Oh, my character needs a... I didn't re-roll this, did I? Ah, 5. I'll use that to gather some scrap. That's a smart thing. But, meal and Emphas stall. Three energy. Support a good friend. I didn't get any special anything from the... I did, as I said, remove a node that was just clearing the interface and got the achievement. Trying to go for eventually, someday, 100% completion. Gather scrap. Since I'm doing the self-repair stuff, I'll stay at the Haifa dorms for a cycle. Self-repair and end cycle. I need to go scout out how to help the refugees. Time is running out on that. Looks like there's 4 more cycles. Should be enough time to build a plan here at the Cordon. How are we doing for time? Oh geez, 43 minutes. Alright, I'm gonna cut the video here. I tend to record videos excessively long, and I need breaks between ways because of my long COVID. So I wish you folks all the best. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves. And may you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Until next time, this is Northstar. Adieu. Best luck, and I'll pick this right back up in another video soon. Ciao.